Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Indie Game Movement, the podcast that talks about the marketing and business of indie games. I'm Andrew Pappas, I'm going to be your host today, and this is episode 252, where we're going to be talking about going full-time dev. Now, if there's one common dream that most indie devs share, it's probably to be able to make indie games full-time. But with such a goal, there lies great challenges, and to overcome them may seem like a daunting task. Thankfully, Thomas Brush of Atmos Games shares his journey and experience on how he achieved this very goal while providing insight and tips on how to gain the confidence and freedom that every indie dev is looking for. So that's what we're going to be talking about right here today on Indie Game Movement. Hey everybody, and we're back, and today with us I have Thomas Brush. Thomas, how's it going, man?
It's going really, really well. It's been a really busy week. I'm working on my next game. It's called Father. People can wishlist it. I'm already plugging my product. I just realized, oh man, no, they can wishlist it on Steam. So I'm working on my next game, Father, and it's been so busy because I'm trying this new thing where I live stream the creation of my next commercial release. You know, we're going to launch on Steam, Xbox, PS4, and maybe mobile. And I want to live stream the whole thing from start to finish on YouTube. So I'm just like, I'm really burnt out right now, but like in a good way. Like I'm having a good time. So that's kind of how I'm doing right now.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot going on, and as you can tell, because these things are really top of mind for you, and rightfully so, right? But let's take a step back, though, because I'd love for you to introduce yourself to everybody, especially of those who, if they're not familiar with you, like, who are you, Thomas? What have you done? What kind of games have you worked on? And outside of that, what do you do in your spare time, when you have spare time? Fun things you like to do?
Yeah, so I'm a solo, well, not solo. I used to say I'm a solo indie game developer, and I've been doing this since I was 16. Now I'm 30, so I guess I've been making games for about 15 years. And I used to call myself a solo game developer because, you know, you don't have any money, but you want to follow that dream of making a game. But I'm kind of a what's the word? I'm a lone wolf type guy. I don't like being told what to do. And so my big thing was I'm going to make a game no matter what. So I don't need funding. I'm just going to do it. And I don't need a team. I don't need to go work for AAA. So, you know, for the last 15 years, I've sort of pursued making games solo, working my butt off. And, you know, I'm like a traditional kind of guy. So I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got bills to pay. You know, we were talking earlier before we started recording. I live in the middle of nowhere, basically. I mean, I live in South Carolina. And I'm a normal dude. But for some reason, deep down, I just felt like, no, you know, I'm going to make video games and I'm going to tell my stories in my way. And so I was a solo dev for a long time. I spent 5 years working on a game called Pinstripe. That was way too long. You know, side note, you should never spend 5 years on a game. I made a lot of mistakes. But I was doing that part-time, so I was working a desk job and I was trying to support my wife while she was going through college, and then a kid was on the way. So it's just like, you know, a normal American life. But at the same time, there was another part of me that was like, yeah, but I want to make video games and do it solo. So I did that, and I finally released Pinstripe, got a publisher, secured $100,000 from Kickstarter. Then I did it again with a game called Neversong. It used to be called Once Upon a Coma, and then we changed the name to Neversong. And then things just blew up from there. Like Apple was really interested in the game, so we worked with Apple. I got a publisher for it. That game was also kickstarted for around $96,000. That's including some post funds raised during a post campaign after Kickstarter. So point being, because of that drive of wanting to be in charge of my games and not have a studio tell me what to do or not work for a AAA company, and nothing against AAA, it's just, in my case, I'm I'm wired to want to do things my way. Because of that drive, I kind of had to go from being this pretentious, artsy solo dev to, I guess, becoming an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and scrambling to find funding and money. And it was difficult. And so that's my life on the entrepreneurial side, is going from an artsy fartsy guy to becoming a business owner, and figuring it out all on my own.
Nice.
And so, yeah, so now I'm working on a game called Father. It's a 3D game. It's like a classic FPS, late 90s Half-Life-esque game.
Oh, sweet.
Because, yeah, that kind of runs through my blood.
Yeah.
Those kind of games, just that crispy, pixelated, crunchy feel. The character models look very strange and bizarre just because they had very little resources to work with. I love those kind of games, so that's what I'm working on right now.
Sweet.
As far as just generally my life, I'm a dad. Like I said, I'm a dad. I've got 2 kids, 30 years old, and I'm a big proponent of, I like normal life. I want to live a normal life. I don't want to have to move to some crazy big city. I don't want to be stuck in traffic. I don't want to be paying $3,000 in rent. I want to live a normal life. I want to see green trees outside my window. And so I guess the conclusion of this rant here is, and I guess it's just because I've been thinking about this a long time. I want to be an artist, and I want to be in control of what I make. But I also want a normal life, and it's possible to do both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it makes complete sense, at least from my perspective. But we're going to get into that a little bit more in a moment too. And it's a good point, and it's definitely something that we're going to dig into further in a moment. But before we do that, and thank you, by the way, for sharing all that, because it's like, again, it showcases how I think Thomas is really thinking. He's really in that zone that has that huge drive with everything he's been doing this week, and I think it's bubbling up here a little bit too, which is awesome. I love the passion.
It is. It is, dude. It is. It's funny, maybe this is too much, but I just went to the doctor yesterday because my left hand is going numb.
Oh no.
My lips are tingly. My nose is tingly. And I was actually live streaming, and this started happening. So I go to the doctor, and my doctor's like, "Dude, you've got anxiety." And I said, "But I'm not scared." And he goes, "That's not what anxiety is. Anxiety is when you're constantly going and you don't stop." And I think I've had to just become, that's sort of my predisposition for the last 10 years, which is like, because I want that normal life.
Yeah.
Because I want to live in a very remote location, and I want to have a family and just live a normal life. Because I want that, it means that I have to compress all of my creative energy into like a normal 8-hour day.
Yeah.
And bear all of the load of what you would typically offload to people who are working for you in like LA or Seattle or Austin, Texas or New York City. But for me, it's like all compressed down onto me because I'm kind of like on an island in a way.
Yeah.
So, so all that said, it is boiling to a head during this podcast.
Yeah.
Which maybe it's serendipitous for you, because hopefully it's good content for you. But I'm trying to get a hold of that generalized anxiety of like always trying to do everything.
Yeah.
And so we could talk about that more. We could talk about how I'm trying to offload a lot more these days onto other people who can help me. So that's maybe something we could talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought it up too, anyways, because in general, I feel you. Like, for me personally, there's been some times in my life that I've felt the same exact way. It's like you're always trying to do so much and everything. So, and I may have a tool that could be helpful with you in terms of coping with some of that too. So, maybe
cool.
We'll get into that later. But before we,
yeah, for sure.
But let's get into the next part of this podcast, which is the Q Box round. All right. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the Q Box round is just a series of random questions I prepared for Thomas here, and he's going to give me his quick answer unless he feels that he really has to elaborate on them. Are you ready, Thomas?
Yes.
All right. What's your favorite book?
Oh man, this is gonna annoy. Oh well, it's not. It's just pretentious. I really like the Bible. From a religious perspective, because I am religious. But
Hmm.
dude, like the Book of Genesis and a lot of the books in the Old Testament are so weird. There's so much there, and they
It's funny you
interest me so
said
much.
that because I started reading the Bible recently just for the heck of it, and you are absolutely
Yeah.
right. It's so weird. The old.
Well, here's what makes it so weird, and then we can move on to the next question. And these are shotgun. But what makes it so weird is that you're reading these stories and you're like, I'm bored. This is the weirdest stuff I've ever read in my entire life. None of this makes sense, but for some reason it sticks with you. And then on top of that, it's always been the top selling book.
Yep.
And so it's like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
It's like from an alien race. That's how it feels. It's so strange. So that's my favorite book.
Okay.
And my next game is actually based on Genesis. So anyway,
Sweet. All right. Pineapple or kiwi?
pineapple, kiwis. I don't like the hair.
Okay. What's what's one thing that most people don't know about you?
Um, they think I'm really like sweet and kind on my YouTube channel. Like, oh, Thomas is so humble, but I'm pretty cocky deep down, and I have a short fuse. So yeah.
Man, I just absolutely love the honesty and stuff.
I'm trying to be honest because I'm eventually going to be found out, so might as well admit it now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite Saturday morning cartoon? Or was your favorite? Sorry.
Oh man, I didn't really watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Not really. Yeah, I didn't watch that stuff.
Any type of cartoon at all?
I mean, okay, so it's not Saturday morning, but I mean,
That's fine.
Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, that's a good one.
I grew up, yeah, and I'm super into I'm super into fitness now, and like I'm just waiting to become a Super Saiyan, because me and my me and my friends would always try and power up, so we'd stare at each other and we would pulse our muscles and scream just like Goku.
Yep.
And you would feel like this surge of energy, and so ever since that, I've always loved just taking an hour out of my day, working out, and getting that surge of, I guess it's endorphins. So that TV show inspired a big part of my hobby life, which is weightlifting.
That's awesome. You're just Super Saiyan it all the way through. You're not powering
That's
through.
right.
You're Super Saiyan. Sweet.
That's right.
All right. What cereal brand best represents your personality?
Fruity Dino Bites.
Sweet.
Fruity Dino Bites. Fruity Dino Bites because they're cheap, and I think they taste just like Fruity Pebbles. But you get a huge back. You get.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, you have to haul that onto your shoulder.
Yeah.
And carry it out of the store. I love that stuff because I'm actually one of the things that I like to pride myself in is being able to see through the BS of marketing tactics, because I'm a marketer myself, and people are very skeptical of me sometimes when I'm throwing ads on YouTube. Hey, here's how you become a full-time game developer, because I have an online course as well.
Yep.
So I'm totally down with being skeptical of BS marketing tactics, and so I'm sitting here, I'm looking at a box of Fruity Pebbles, and then I'm also looking at Fruity Dino Bites, and I'm like, they're the same. They're both going to give you cancer, so might as well just get the big bag that's cheaper.
Man, I feel like we both have these same strategies, at least because I do a lot of the grocery shopping in the house, and I'm thinking the same thing when I'm in that cereal aisle. Hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, the staple on the show here is, what game are you playing right now?
None. Boy, I'm pretentious. I know I am. I'm not playing anything right now. I usually don't play video games. Because it's my job. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like when something's your job, you just sort of stop doing it. And I know I should play games, but I'm not currently playing anything.
No, and that's fine, because it's funny. Sometimes people ask me the same. It's like, I'm just so busy with stuff. Like, I would like to play games, but either one, just don't have any more mental bandwidth or anything for it, and then two, the kids are taking over the TV anyway.
I know. So I guess the only game I'm playing, dude, is The Kissing Monster, which is a game me and my 3-year-old made up, where she chases me around in a circle, and then I grab her and I kiss her on her forehead. That's. So maybe I don't know. Maybe
it's still a game. It's still
It's still a game.
Yeah. All right. He checked the box, folks. We're good.
There you go. There you go.